For the last 6 months, Levi and I have been traveling in our Prius through the United States and now Mexico.
But as you know, if you've watched any of our videos, it hasn't always been roses. And so today we are giving you a 6-month Q&A from a traffic jam in Mexico. Hello everybody, and welcome to a traffic jam in the middle of Mexico.
We had planned to film this, in our next camping location. We were gonna open up the back of the car and sit there. And instead we're like, we don't know how long we're gonna be here.
In our next video, you'll see the whole experience of how we ended up in this mess and whether or not we make it out. So make sure that you check that one out. But today we are going to be doing a Q&A after 6 months of being on the road. The questions that you had for us living out of our Prius.
First question. May I ask, how do each of you do me time and find your own space living in such close quarters and always being together? Do you have any strategies for keeping your relationship on an even keel with the stresses or the challenges that you face of being on the road?
All right, so I would say we don't have very much time to ourselves. I would say we spend almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with each other, almost exclusively for the most part, except when we see our friends. And it isn't easy all the time, I would say.
I think socializing with other people has been a really nice way to remind yourself that your partner is fun and interesting. Not that I don't think that every day, but when you see it through somebody else's eyes, you're like, oh yeah, right, this is you're super rad. I think what we're trying to do is, especially in the evenings when it's just the two of us, we do separate things side by side. So even though we're physically in the same space, one of us is reading or watching a YouTube video or just doing something separately while still being in the same space. So,
oh my God. There's literally a huge truck just driving right by us right now.
Which is interesting because literally the next question is, how do you deal with insurance, and do you get worried about that your car could get broken into or hit, sideswiped by a semi?
Yeah, I think you just have to let a lot of things go.
We try and be as practical as possible. The things that are really important, we have on us at almost at all times. And the things that are the least secure, in the back action packer, those are all replaceable things.
Yeah.
Knock on wood right now, but we have had no issues with feeling insecure, with feeling like people are gonna mess with us or the car. But a part of that is luck, and the other part is we're really deliberate about where we travel, at what time of day, are there other people around? Yeah, we're not driving into sketchy dark alleyways and leaving the car there. If you had to do it over, would you still take the Prius, or would you choose a larger vehicle, a van, or an RV?
Hey, now if you like this kind of video and you like hearing us answer questions, we answer a monthly secret podcast every single month on our Patreon page. There you can also access a bunch of behind the scenes features as well. So if you want to support the channel and be more in tune with what's going on in our lives, maybe check that out down below. I think we would definitely do something bigger next time. The Prius was a deliberate choice to just get us on the road as quickly as possible. We didn't want to outlay a ton of money. We wanted something reliable, and we just needed to get out the door because otherwise we just weren't going to do it.
I think for just the two of us, really 90% of the time, this is a great setup. But the thing that we miss the most is just two things. Having access to a reliable toilet, that has actually been less of an issue than I thought it was going to be. We've been pretty good traveling mainly through cities or parks and stuff like that. But the other thing is having an indoor space, which is your own, where you can sit down. At a table, not in the front seat of your car or laying down in the bed, actually a table and chairs, and you can
Indoor private space is something we just have none of.
Yeah, we definitely reach days where I'm I just don't want anyone to look at me or speak to me or anything. Those usually align with when I'm gonna have my period because I'm everything is awful. But that's usually how I feel. I just want to be alone in a private space.
Would you ever move to the USA or Mexico?
You know what? I think Mexico City and Bend, Oregon, or LA, those are all strong contenders. However, my caveat is I wouldn't move to those places indefinitely. I think a year or 2, maybe even 5, I think would be amazing. But we're so connected to our families and the thought of being away from them. Also, like, we want to have kids in the next few years. I want to do that in Canada where we have a family doctor. We know the medical system.
Yes,
I don't want to have to, like, doing that in any foreign country is going to be more difficult, but that's something that I really want to do at home. This isn't really a question, it's more of a comment, but I initially thought your plan to travel via car through Mexico was crazy. Thank you for opening my eyes to what Mexico and, more importantly, Mexicans are really like. They're the nicest people. Like, they're so nice. Literally, someone just gave us candy in the car in front of us.
This is sort of what I hoped that this trip was going to be for us, but inadvertently also for the people who are watching, so thank you so much for that comment. How many miles have you done in your Prius so far? Well, we work in kilometers in
Metric
Canada,
system, baby.
but we so far not even quite at the halfway point. I would say we're at over 10,000 kilometers.
How has it been being plant-based? Have you had to make some compromises or found it okay? Wondering, as me and my partner were considering staying in Mexico for a few months and we're both vegan. You know, we have met vegan travelers in Mexico.
It's possible.
It is possible. However, you're making a lot of your own food. Like, I would say 99% of the time, the way to ensure that it is vegan is you got to make your own food. We have definitely made compromises because when we travel, eating the food, being a part of that culture is really important to us. But every time we cook for ourselves, it's plant-based.
We don't have a great amount of space or flexibility when it comes to how we cook, which does make a pretty big difference. But honestly, I think if you're traveling in another place, you should eat the food that culture makes. It's like one of the biggest parts of traveling, at least for us.
You'd be missing out. Literally, you'd be missing the flavor of this country if you didn't every now and then eat meat or have eggs or have cheese.
How do you make sure that a place you choose for boondocking is safe enough, especially in cities?
Whenever we boondock, we don't just do it sporadically. We always find it on iOverlander first.
Yeah. Somewhere somebody else has already been first.
Yeah, somewhere that they have vetted, they have said that they felt safe, and was it within the last year that they said that?
We also prioritize places that are like relatively well trafficked, that have good lighting, maybe some kind of security systems. Generally, if you are in the car and the windows are blacked out and you're not bothering anyone, we haven't had any problems. So you just have to have a bit of common sense and, do some looking around.
When you get home, is there anything about this trip/experience that has significantly changed your way of life or beliefs? Like, how will your lifestyle or mindset be different once you go back to living traditionally in Canada?
I don't think Leah and I are ever going to live traditionally. I think from the experiences that we've had in our life, from all the traveling that we've done, we just know that as soon as you choose the path less traveled, things become infinitely more interesting and exciting. So I don't think we are ever going to go back to traditional Canadian lifestyle, and maybe this trip is a part of that. And I think it is.
I always knew that I liked traveling, but I had never done this kind of traveling for this long. And having that balance of traveling, where you're making long decisions, but that autonomy. You have your own vehicle, you have your own bed. Those little things make a huge difference. And one day in the future, when we have a bigger rig, I think we'll be able to do it for even longer.
So the idea is maybe in the future we get something a little bigger and a little bit better for these longer term trips. And yeah, we might just be back on the road sooner than you think. Okay, it looks like traffic is moving. We'll check in with you in a minute. Look at all these people walking.
I think they just got my Lanta.
Oh, there's a big curve right there.
There is. You gotta go down a decent ways. I can barely get out. Okay, come. And now go that way again. And keep coming. Yeah, you're good. We're here. We're fine right now. Next question is, what is your current camera gear setup? And for this, I pass it to Levi.
We film all of our videos as well as all of Future Proof's videos on a Sony ZV-1, which is basically just a point and shoot camera. This is our basic setup right now. We have the Rode Wireless Go, and the Sony camera. It's a pretty basic setup.
We got it because there's a big red light that shows when you're recording, and it's Leah-proof. Future-proof and Leah-proof.
We got a lot of different versions of this same question, which is essentially, how does intimacy look while you live in a Prius?
We both make the same sound.
Did we?
Yeah, what's interesting for me, because literally like talking about like intimacy and sexuality and things like that is literally my job, but it doesn't mean that it necessarily like makes it easier when it's your own life though. I think we are better communicators probably than most, but I think on the road when you spend so much time together, desire is hard, right? Like the more time you spend together, less time you have space. Literally you need like physical space from each other in order for like desire to like be close to each other, to be intimate with each other. We're intimate in many ways, like we snuggle and we touch and we have really intense conversations, but like the fun sexy side is less fun because you can only do certain things in the car.
We definitely f*** less, that's for sure. I knew that this trip wasn't exactly going to be a sexual extravaganza of any kind. I was aware of that, but I was sort of shocked at how that changed our relationship in an interesting sort of way. Qualities of what we are, which is sort of just like best friends who got married and every time get to have sex with each other. The best friends part is really coming to light. Like if our relationship was purely based on physical attraction, this trip would have been over 6 months ago. But in some ways, I think it's actually proven that like the bedrock that is our friendship and sort of social connection to one another is extremely strong, because I don't know if there's many couples that would be able to do the kind of prolonged proximity and stress that this trip has put on us.
Really, at the end of the day, like, can you have a good conversation with this person? Do you enjoy talking to them, how their mind works, and kind of picking that apart? And I think you and I have gained a new level of appreciation for each other, for our depth of character, and realizing that, like, I don't know, like, I'm so excited that you're the person I'm doing life with. And I can't wait till we're in a more comfortable bed so I can appreciate you physically as well.
God damn it. You've eaten so much different food. How does your stomach handle it? It doesn't.
I would say 90% of the time, though, we have been good. Like, obviously, we have
You've been good. Speak for yourself. I have been on a roller coaster lately.
I have an iron stomach. It's pretty amazing, like, what I can, like, eat or, like, have ice cubes in. I'm not saying that you should also do this, but, like, I am normally fine. And the times where I have been the most not fine is when I have a migraine.
It's
not necessarily.
It's not food related at all.
It's just,
dude, it's terrible.
It's
we'll
just
eat
stress.
the same thing, and then I'm just a mess. And Leah's like, let's go to the market.
I feel fine. Hot sauce? More, please.
On a related note,
where do you go to the bathroom at night? And this one has like big exclamation marks. That's a big part of planning where we will camp every night, is where is the closest bathroom. We're not just gonna pull up somewhere where like we don't have access to a toilet. When we're boondocking in a city, that gets more complicated.
That being said, last night I shit behind a bush. I'm not proud of it. I didn't want to. It was an emergency.
I'm also doing some months of traveling, but I find the constant decision-making and planning to be exhausting. How do you handle the logistics?
She handles the logistics. Leah just randomly became the planner for our day-to-day activities, and it's amazing because I don't have to do it.
Levi and I are both very organized people. We like to know what we're going to be doing, but still some spontaneity in that. Levi does 80% of the work for this YouTube channel, right? Like he's thinking about like the story that we're telling, how we're going to film it. He edits it, he markets it, all of those things. And for me, I am the one who's like, okay, where are we going to travel? Where are we going to stop for lunch? Like, what are we going to eat for dinner? Where are we getting water? You're right. That decision making is exhausting. And I think
it's
right
a full-time
now,
job.
Oh, it is. And I'm so glad that I did not teach this last semester. Like I taught like one-off workshop, but I didn't have a whole class to myself. And I'm so glad because
we wouldn't been able to do it.
No, there's so much that I have learned. We're going to see how this goes next semester when I am teaching, and I am also like research logistics manager.
Yeah. Has there been any impact on your health and fitness routines on the road? Yeah, our routines went completely out the window the second we got on this road trip. If you know us from previous videos before we started living in a Prius full time, we had like a very lovely routine. We did yoga once a day. We went on 2 full walks, one at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day. We worked very well at home from the comfort of our apartment. And I loved it. Our routine was amazing, and it gave me so much strength and stability to be able to accomplish the things I wanted to do. And we don't have any of that now.
The sad thing is I really wanted to do more yoga when we're on the road. That's something that really like grounds both of us. It helps our bodies feel nice and strong. Hard to find a reliable place to do yoga. Like you can, you just want to put your mat on the random ground, and you can like kind of do it on the beach for a little bit. Honestly, we walk everywhere. I would say we're pretty dedicated to hitting 10,000 steps a day, and sometimes we'll hit like 25 or 30, and we just try and balance that out. The biggest regret in your car/build?
Well, we're going to be making a full video about this because we have a number of them. The one that I am particularly annoyed by right now is our bed.
I have to agree. I think it's a great mattress, great futon mattress, great company, but I don't think it was intended to be slept on so consistently.
Yeah,
in a car on a hard surface,
we're sore right now. So that would be our biggest, and look forward to the future video where we get into the rest. Yeah. What have you learned about each other living in the Prius together? You can go first.
You're pretty type A in terms of wanting to know and plan certain things, and you are a future planner. That's what you do. You need to have something that you know is going to happen, and it can't be what's happening tomorrow or the next day or the next week. It has to be 6 months or a year from now.
That is super
planning.
True.
And I think in response to that, I learned that I am very present. And I think both of ours are strengths, but also weaknesses, because I feel like people are what are you going to be doing a year from now? I'm like, I'll be with Levi and we'll be doing nice things and I'll be teaching sexual health. But I don't know.
I think that is truly it. I think we have discovered the time scales within which we both occupy. Yeah. I am, to a fault, obsessed with the future. I never dwell in the past. I am constantly thinking about what is next in an unhealthy way, frankly. And it's something I've been kind of struggling with on this trip in particular, because it's easy to ignore, a quality like this when all you do is work from home and aspire towards the future, because that's what people are supposed to do when they're motivated entrepreneurial people. But when you're on vacation, you're supposed to be enjoying the moment. You're supposed to be in it, you're supposed to be loving every second on the beach, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking about what we're going to do when we cross the border back into Canada 5 months from now. That's the biggest thing I think we've learned about each other, but it has been a massive trip for personal growth and exploration that could probably occupy a whole other video.
Okay. What are your views on your approach to the impact of tourism on the places that you visit?
About this a little bit in the Mexico City video, acknowledging that tourism is both a boon and a problem to... Wait, is boon a problem? Boon is a problem, isn't it?
No, boon's a good thing. Boon's it's like a boon or bust.
It's a good and a bad thing for Mexico City, and we were a part of that, and we acknowledged it. And we acknowledged that our presence here is controversial in some ways, to say the least.
It's interesting to think about this question of travel versus tourism, and is there a difference? Tourism is a way to see a place, but to almost take advantage of it, and you take from it. And undoubtedly, us being in Mexico, we're taking up space, we're taking things from this beautiful country and the people here. But I think there's also a difference in traveling where you gain a better appreciation for the people, the environment, the food, the cultures that you are visiting, and trying to do that as low impact as possible.
Being able to travel in a place for a long period of time is a privilege, but it allows you to develop such a deep and... Hola.
Buenas tardes. Yo traigo esta camioneta, ando repartiendo naranja.
Okay.
Sí. Pero ahorita déjame.
See, exactly in this circumstance. You know, we've been here so long that, like, I actually know what that guy was saying to me because we had the time to learn how to speak Spanish so that when the guy needs us to move our car a little bit so he can get his truck out, we can. Being able to really immerse yourself in a culture allows you to appreciate it. It gives you the ability to connect with others and feel empathy for them. And I think that's really important today in the way that the world has evolved. But of course, you have to recognize that our impact here does not go unnoticed. So we're always trying to be aware of that. And hopefully you're aware of that too whenever you go traveling somewhere.
It's a hard balance, so whenever possible, you know, instead of taking like a long haul flight to spend 5 days somewhere, maybe, you know, choose something that's maybe closer to home so you can do 2 weeks, or if you are going to fly somewhere, see if you can be there for longer. Of course, that's a privilege, not everyone has that, but...
It will make your trip better. It just will make your trip better. Another question we had from someone was, what do you miss the most about home? At this particular moment, at 6 months in, I'm missing a lot. It's coming up to Christmas time. It's the hardest point of any trip, I think, is the halfway point when you're exhausted and tired, but you also have so much to be thankful for. It's a very conflicting time.
I am missing the people the most. You know, like right now, it's cold at home and it feels a lot more like Christmassy and festive in a way that I'm used to, but really it's the people. It's my family and friends that, you know, the reason that really like holidays and things like that mean anything is because you're with the people that you love, and I'm with the person that I love, but I also recognize that there's so many other people that I love and I just miss them so much.
See, what I was gonna say is our bed. I'm missing our bed.
You're so unsentimental about people. You miss.
Great. Dude.
I mean, obviously, I miss my cow mug. I miss the yellow couch. I miss sitting indoor in my own space.
Okay, well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Again, if you want to see more stuff like this, check out our Patreon page. And thanks so much for watching, for being a part of our journey. We love you.
Love you. Hope you're having a happy season, however it is you celebrate it. And hopefully you're around people that you love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.